Welcome back. I don't know if OBS is recording this. Sometimes it doesn't get the first couple seconds, so I'm just going to talk for a second. Anyhow, as I said, welcome back. It's been a while since I've done a video. The whole COVID thing and life in between has slowed down the video taking and making. But I'm still working in Godot. The last sort of spaceship type thing I was doing was You're the Pilot. This is going to be closer to something like an RTS. So without further ado, I'm just going to pop into the actual running game here. And then I'm going to maximize it so that get a chance. Whoop, one inside the ship. So I do apologize. I forgot the name of the person, but a gentleman made a Blender file that lets you put in rough shapes of ships, and then the file does some octree iterations. It basically it randomizes the shapes that you put in a little bit, and then you can use some of the other Blender nodes to take your shapes and make parts. Like up here I have what essentially is going to be a hauler, a heavy hauler, and then that funny little thing at the bottom is going to be cargo decks. But as usual, Godot is capable of some pretty amazing visuals. I mean, I've got an orbit camera set up here, and that's a Jimmy-O or Jim O'Hagan version of the code, which makes very smooth. It only locks at the top and locks at the bottom because I chose to. Otherwise, it would have be complete crystal ball orbiting. But anyhow, these ships are the result of that Blender system exported from Blender. You can use the procedurally generated textures in Blender and other things like JS placement. The thing is, sometimes you have to mirror the texture on a particular mirror axis, because if you export some of these generated ships and you skip the step of doing regular UV mapping, you need to use triplanar mapping. So the auto mapping in Blender matches up with the triplanar mapping in Godot, which is pretty amazing. It allowed me to jump fairly quickly ahead because I can make the textures look in Godot the way they did in Blender without going through extra hoops. So anyhow, we've got 8 ships and a barge here. This space background is one that I made for a different project a long time ago. Used it slightly differently. I have it set up for lighting a little different right now. And yes, the ambient light is coming from the scene and one bright light up where that sun is. So screen space reflecting and all that's turned on. The other thing about the scene is, I don't know if you can see, but there are asteroids in here that are a mesh of basically a big sphere that I made. And then following a Blender tutorial, I used the Blender system that breaks things apart into random segments, and then exploded the sphere, exported it as a mesh, and then textured it. So we have these giant rocks that we get. So we get these nice big spheres in the background. I don't think you could see this here. Oh, yeah, maybe I can trick it into glitching. Oh, there we go. See that bright thing there? Ooh, right there. That's some space junk. There's a couple thousand of those, maybe a few more, just little bits of junk in this part of space. Get another one here. Just little chunks of junk. Those, though, are actually sprites, but they have a normal map, so they show up. Anyhow, now let's get down to business here. So if we hit tab, we can control a ship, but we don't control a ship directly like in the sense of a normal flying. Push the space bar and you get this grid. This game is going to be kind of 2D. It's going to have 3D imaging, but your commanding of the ships and stuff is going to be 2D mostly. There is a couple things I could do that might allow for some 3D interaction. There's absolutely nothing that stops these ships from flying up on a 3D axis, but I just don't have it set up. So now the little ships, you can see as they're flying to wherever they're going, their thrusters and their little RCS or roll control stabilization thrusters all light up while they're moving, and then when they get where they're going to be, the thrusters turn off. So there we have. Of course, there's no sound yet except for my voice, but I mean, eventually there's going to be some sounds. I'm planning on working on some targeting and the ability to actually shoot at stuff soon. So there will be some guns. Probably the simplest thing we could do is set up some turrets. Could set up a few turrets and they would shoot the targets. Most of the ship handling is going to be AI because it's going to be automatically driven. The controller in the different ships is going to be what sets what they do. As you can see, the different ships, the different sizes have different little engines that all do the typical change size. This is that hauler. Now, I'm going to move this one forward a little bit. That barge underneath there is the thing we left behind would be what essentially gets skinned a little different. It'll be cargo pallets that get stacked up underneath this thing in various sizes. But this thing here too could have some regular guns on it. So I mean, if you wanted to go the other way, one of the things I'm trying to do is going to be able to mark zones on the mesh that the player will be able to just put a gun anywhere. You'll be able to just buy a gun from the in-game purchasing or build a gun and just click a place on the mesh. You'll be able to come in, click a place on the mesh, like say right here, and mount a gun. Oh, there's a Daki. Go. Some shadow noise or something. But yeah, so then we have like Corvette-sized ships. It's pretty straightforward. They're a fair bit smaller than the big capital ships. Right? And the more I see this now, the more I wish I had sound working. Oh, I forgot. There's one of the little fighters, actually. I mean, he's pretty tiny. You might only see them about this big. And you may not be in control of just one of these. You might be in control of a group of those. But you could spend a fair amount of your time on one of these little things running around. Again, the idea is you would be able to have certain zones on the ship that you can mount a gun, and that would be it. Current plan is it for it to be single player like it is now, and in the single player, be pretty typical sort of an RTS sort of thing. But seeing an RTS style commands, it's going to be more of a I must say it'd be RPG-ish, because there's going to be completely open universe, maybe some scripted events, but it'll be open. You'll be able to move around, jump to different places in the universe, however I decide to do that. But yeah, that's the ships so far. Quick look. Maybe not so quick, but that's a look at them anyways. And yeah, I'm back at it, and hope you're all doing well, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.